What if I told you the Caribbean, now a paradise for tourists, was once the most dangerous place on Earth? Picture this. The year is 1500. Spanish galleons, heavy with gold and silver, slice through turquoise waters, their holds bursting with the riches of the New World. But every fortune breeds envy, and every empire creates its own enemies. Why did the Caribbean become the world's pirate capital? Was it just greed or something deeper? Let's set sail into a world where nations waged secret wars and desperate men gambled with their lives for a taste of freedom and fortune. Spain's conquest of the Americas unleashed a flood of wealth. Gold, silver, sugar, tobacco pouring into Europe. But with every ship that docked in Seville, resentment simmered among Spain's rivals. France, England, and the Netherlands watched jealously as Spain grew fat and powerful. Did you know the Protestant Reformation wasn't just a religious revolution, it was a spark for piracy? As England and the Netherlands broke from Catholic Spain, every Spanish ship became a symbol of oppression and a legitimate target. Why fight costly wars in Europe when you could bleed Spain dry in the Caribbean? This was the logic behind a new breed of warrior, the privateer. What's the difference between a pirate and a privateer? Sometimes just a piece of paper. Letters of marque, signed by kings and queens, turned ordinary sailors into legal predators. French privateers like Jean Fleury and François Leclerc struck first, ambushing Spanish convoys and vanishing into the blue. Soon, English names like Sir Francis Drake and Sir Walter Raleigh joined the fray. Were they heroes or just pirates with better PR? But there was a catch. Without permanent bases in the Caribbean, these raiders could only strike and run. Spain fought back, arming their treasure fleets and building coastal forts. The game of cat and mouse had begun. By the early 1600s, the Caribbean's wild edges attracted a new breed, the Buccaneers. Originally hunters on Hispaniola, these men smoked meat over wooden frames, bucan, giving them their name. But Spanish raids drove them from the forests to the coasts and then to the sea. Imagine being forced from your home, hunted like an animal, until you have no choice but to become the hunter yourself. Is it any wonder these men turned to piracy? Buccaneers weren't just thieves, they were rebels. They elected their captains, wrote their own codes, and shared loot according to merit. In a world ruled by kings, the pirate ship was a floating democracy. Driven from Hispaniola, the Buccaneers found a new home, Tortuga. Here they built Fort de Rocher, a cannon-bristling fortress that welcomed pirates of every flag. For a share of the loot, Tortuga's governors offered protection and safe harbor. Why did Tortuga become the ultimate pirate haven? It wasn't just the fortifications, it was the promise of freedom. Here, men could rise by skill, not birth. Here, the only law was the code they wrote themselves. But paradise never lasts. Spanish attacks, shifting alliances, and the lure of greater prizes would soon draw the Buccaneers into bigger, bloodier games. When the English captured Jamaica in 1655, they transformed Port Royal into the new capital of piracy. The city exploded with wealth and vice. Taverns overflowed, gold changed hands by the fistful, and the line between privateer and pirate blurred. Contemporary accounts describe Port Royal as the wickedest city on earth. One visitor wrote, "Wine and women drained their wealth to such a degree that some became reduced to beggary." Can you imagine spending a fortune in a single night only to wake penniless and hunted? But Port Royal was more than debauchery. It was a launchpad for legendary raids. Men like Henry Morgan ignored their letters of marque, sacking Spanish cities and earning both infamy and knighthoods. Forget what you've seen in the movies. Pirate crews weren't ruled by tyrants. They were governed by codes, known as articles, that spelled out everything from loot distribution to punishment. Why did pirates embrace democracy? Life at sea was brutal, and trust was everything. Crews elected their captains, voted on major decisions, and even set rules for dividing treasure. In some ways, a pirate ship was more fair than any navy or merchant vessel. But break the code, and the penalty was severe: whipping, marooning, even death. Was this justice or just survival? The late 1600s saw the height of Caribbean piracy. Port Royal swelled to 6,500 people: pirates, merchants, artisans, and opportunists. But every golden age ends in disaster. On June 7, 1692, a massive earthquake struck Port Royal, sinking half the city beneath the sea. Survivors spoke of buildings swallowed whole, streets vanishing in moments. Was it divine punishment or just the price of unchecked greed? After the quake, anti-piracy laws and peace treaties choked off the flow of new privateers. Some pirates became planters or merchants. Others joined the very navies that once hunted them. The age of the Buccaneer was ending. But pirates are nothing if not adaptable. After the War of Spanish Succession ended in 1714, hundreds of out-of-work privateers flocked to Nassau in the Bahamas. Here, they built the Pirate Republic, a loose confederation where every man had a voice and every race a place. Did you know that nearly a third of Nassau's pirates were of African descent? Escaped slaves, freedmen, and sailors found equality and opportunity denied elsewhere. Nassau became a pirate utopia until the British Navy returned, determined to crush the last outpost of lawless freedom. Why do we still romanticize pirates? Is it the lure of freedom, the thrill of rebellion, or just the spectacle of the Jolly Roger flying against the odds? The reality was harsher. Piracy was dangerous, often short-lived, and rarely as glamorous as Hollywood suggests. Yet the pirate code, the dream of equality, and the fight against empire left a lasting mark. Today, the Caribbean's pirate past is both a cautionary tale and a source of endless fascination. What would you risk for a taste of freedom? And what price would you pay for a piece of gold? By the 1720s, the British, French, and Spanish navies hunted pirates across the Caribbean. Former pirate havens became execution grounds. The age of the outlaw was over. But piracy never truly died. It adapted, changed, and survived in new forms, from the Barbary corsairs to the pirates of the South China Sea, and even today's digital pirates. So next time you hear the word pirate, remember, behind every legend is a story of struggle, survival, and the eternal quest for freedom. Caribbean piracy was never just about gold. It was about power, resistance, and the hope for a better life. Its legacy lives on in our stories, our symbols, and our fascination with those who dared to defy the world. What would you have done standing on the deck of a pirate ship, the wind in your face and the law at your heels? The Caribbean's golden age of piracy may be gone, but its spirit endures, wherever people dream of freedom and wherever the bold are willing to risk it all.